Hey YouTube, I've been a quiet viewer here for years, soaking in the raw emotions, the life-changing advice, and the incredible stories that have kept me coming back. But I've never stepped forward to share my own journey until this moment. My hands are shaking, my heart is pounding, and my mind is a whirlwind as I type this. Because what I'm about to confess is going to leave many of you speechless, maybe even furious. I'm 19, and I'm utterly, irrevocably in love with a 69-year-old man named Richard. I can already picture the flood of comments. That's insane. You're too young to decide. This is wrong. But I need to let this out, to release the burden I've been carrying alone. This isn't a passing fancy or a mistake I'll regret. It's real, it's profound, and it's the essence of who I am now. I'm hoping a few of you might listen with an open heart, or at least try to see life through my lens. This is going to be a lengthy journey, so find a cozy spot, brew a warm drink, and maybe grab a snack because I have a tale that's longer and more layered than anything I've ever shared. It began about 2 years ago when I was 17, though nothing physical happened then. It was the quiet dawn of something I couldn't yet grasp. I was working part-time at a secondhand music shop after school, a haven where I could lose myself among vinyl records and dusty guitars, escaping the chaos of a strained home life after my parents' separation. Richard walked in one rainy afternoon, his presence commanding yet gentle, looking for a vintage guitar string to restring his old Martin. He was of average height with a head of salt and pepper hair tied back in a loose ponytail and deep green eyes that sparkled with a lifetime of melodies. His voice was a smooth baritone, carrying the richness of years spent singing, and he moved with a rhythm that hinted at his past. He was a retired musician, once part of a folk band in the 70s, now living alone in a bungalow filled with instruments after his partner passed away a decade ago. We struck up a conversation about classic tunes, the soul of acoustic music, my tentative strums on a shop ukulele, and it felt effortless, like we were tuning into the same frequency. At first, it was a friendship I held dear. He'd visit the shop weekly, always with that easy smile, and we'd dive into talks about chord progressions, the evolution of folk, or the stories behind the songs he'd written. I began eagerly awaiting his visits, setting aside rare records or restringing guitars I thought he'd like. He'd bring me herbal tea, brewed from leaves he grew himself, and we'd sit in the back, lost in music and laughter until closing time. I noticed the details, how his hands, calloused from years of fretting strings, moved with a musician's finesse, how his voice softened when he hummed an old ballad, how his gaze sometimes lingered with a warmth that felt more than friendly. I convinced myself it was admiration, a student-like affection for a mentor. I was so wrong. The shift came when I turned 18, about a year ago, a turning point that reshaped my world. I'd graduated high school and taken on more hours at the shop, feeling adrift as I navigated the uncertain waters of adulthood. One evening, after a long day of dealing with picky customers, Richard invited me to his bungalow to hear him play his restored guitar. I agreed, a blend of curiosity and nervous excitement fluttering in my chest. His home was a symphony of sound, walls adorned with faded posters, the air filled with the scent of polished wood and the faint tang of rosin. We sat close, him strumming a haunting melody, and I felt this pull, a chord resonating deep within me. He brushed a strand of hair from my face, his fingers grazing my cheek with a tenderness that made my heart skip. Our eyes met, and there was a spark, electric, soulful, beyond the notes we shared. I pulled back, flustered, but that moment echoed in my dreams, stirring a longing I couldn't shake. Over the following months, those moments multiplied like verses in a song. We'd meet outside the shop, coffee at a tucked-away cafe, walks along the old railroad tracks, or sitting on his porch as twilight fell. He'd say things like, "You have a rhythm in you, Emma, a melody waiting to be played." And it felt personal, intimate, a lyric written just for me. I began dreaming of him, his touch on my skin, his voice singing my name, waking with an ache that pulsed through me. I was 18, he was 68, and I knew society would call it strange, but my heart danced to its own beat. One evening at his place, we were jamming together, our fingers brushing over strings. The tension was thick, a crescendo I couldn't resist, and I kissed him, soft and uncertain. He froze, then kissed me back briefly before pulling. "Away. Emma, this is a dangerous tune. he said, his voice rough, but his eyes, filled with yearning, played the same melody as mine. We sidestepped it for weeks, a hesitant refrain of avoidance and desire. I was a mess. Guilt clashed with a yearning I couldn't silence, my mind a cacophony of doubt. Then one night, he called me over. We sat in his living room, the guitar resting between us, the air heavy with unspoken notes. "I've fought this with every chord I know," he said, hands trembling. "I love you, Emma, not just as a friend." I shouldn't, but I do. My heart sang. I confessed my love, a harmony I couldn't deny, and we agreed to keep it secret, to explore this duet, knowing the world would disapprove. From that night, we became a melody. We'd meet at his bungalow, a haven of music, spending evenings talking, laughing, weaving this new us. He'd cook vegetable curry or fresh-baked bread, and we'd sit by the fire, his arm around me. It felt right. The physical side was intense. My first time was nerve-wracking on a stormy night in his study, the rain a backdrop. "Are you sure, Emma?" he asked, his voice low. I nodded, and he kissed me, slow and deep. His hands, skilled from years of playing, traced my arms, my back, pulling me close. We moved to his bedroom, the candlelight flickering, and his touch was reverent, exploring me with care that made my skin tingle. Kisses on my lips, my neck, sent warmth through me, his breath hitching. It was slow, a burning connection that overwhelmed me. He made me feel alive, whispering my name with a husky warmth that shivered through me. His experience guided him, lingering on my jaw, pressing my shoulder, making me gasp. I loved his reactions, eyes darkening, soft hums as I touched him. It was passionate, yet tender. One night after, he strummed my hair, saying, "You're my song, Emma." I felt whole. It wasn't always gentle. Sometimes it flared wildly, like an afternoon when we kissed urgently, hands roaming on his piano bench, the keys clinking, his grip firm. We collapsed, laughing, tangled. Another time, under stars on his roof, it was intense. His hands under my shirt, me against him, breathless after. The world judged us. Friends called it odd. Some vanished. My dad found out, raged, and cut me off. Richard lost music circle friends over gossip. He'd worry, saying, "You deserve youth," but I'd kiss him, saying, "You are my rhythm." We found joy. Spring concerts, winter nights by the fire, a summer trip to a music festival where we kissed backstage, his touch igniting me, or a fall day tuning guitars, ending in a heated embrace on the floor. I know it's unconventional, but it's love. Richard is my harmony, my fire. Time's shadow looms, but every touch burns brighter. I'm 19, he's 69, my heart. Thanks, YouTube, for listening. Be kind, I carry enough.